You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Deeper than that. There is a signal moving through everything around you right now. Through this water, through this air, through the silence between your thoughts. It has been moving through you your entire life. And it found you. Not today, not this moment, long before you pressed play. There is a particular kind of silence that exists just before something irreversible happens. Not the silence of emptiness. The silence of fullness. The silence of a system drawing breath before it releases something it has been holding for a very long time. You are inside that silence right now, and I need you to stay with me, because what I'm about to share is not something you can unhear. It won't shock you because it's new. It will shock you because you've always sensed it and never had the language to name it. This isn't a lesson. It's a mirror. Mirrors don't teach, they reveal. So before a single concept enters your mind, do one thing. Notice what is happening in your body right now, not what you're thinking, what you're feeling. Somewhere beneath the hum of your thoughts, beneath the noise of your day, there is a signal. Quiet, persistent, almost impossibly subtle. It has been there your whole life. Tonight we're going to understand what it is, what it does, and why it keeps returning, especially when you're close to a turning point. Most people move through life with one unexamined assumption, that reality is made of things, separate objects, solid particles, measurable units that bump into each other and create the world we see. That assumption is so embedded it doesn't even feel like an assumption. It feels like the most obvious fact on Earth. And according to quantum physics, the most precise experimentally tested science we have, it's almost entirely wrong. At the most fundamental level, reality is not made of things. It is made of fields, vast, interconnected fields of potential. And what you call matter is what happens when that potential resolves into a specific form. Underneath everything you see is a deeper layer often called the quantum vacuum. The word vacuum makes people imagine emptiness, but in physics it means the opposite. It is not empty. It is the most densely packed substrate in the universe, loaded with latent energy, latent information, latent possibility. The world you experience is not a collection of solid objects sitting in dead space. It is a living geometry of potential constantly resolving into form.
Do you know what I'm talking about? The Matrix.
Now here's where it gets personal, because this is where most people either lean in or mentally check out. Your consciousness is not separate from that field. It is not a passenger floating on top of reality watching life happen. Quantum mechanics has demonstrated repeatedly, undeniably, that the observer participates in what is observed. This is not poetic language. It's built into the structure of measurement itself. Your observation is not neutral. Your attention is not a powerless flashlight. The act of observation changes outcomes at the most basic level. The implication is simple and it is staggering. You are not only watching reality unfold, you are participating in its unfolding moment by moment, perception by perception, by the quality of attention you bring to each moment. Most people have no idea this is happening because we were never trained to pay attention at the right level. We were trained to focus on the surface, events, outcomes, circumstances, other people's behavior. We were trained to believe life happens to us, and our job is to react. But field theory suggests something else. Life happens through you. You are not a passive recipient of experience. You are an active participant in its generation. And once you understand that, one question becomes unavoidable. If awareness shapes the reality you inhabit, then the quality of your awareness becomes the single most important variable in your life. Not your effort, not your hustle, not your strategy, not your talent, not your connections, not your timing, your awareness. Everything else is downstream of it. Now let's address something that almost nobody talks about honestly, because it's too quiet to be dramatic, but too persistent to ignore. You have felt like something is missing, not necessarily as a full crisis, not always in a way you can explain, more like a low-grade background signal, a sense that the life you're building, career, relationships, experiences, possessions, never quite reaches the place it's supposed to reach. Like you're filling a container that has no bottom. That feeling isn't rare. It's common, and it's usually medicated away with distractions. From a field perspective, that feeling exists for a reason. Human beings are not designed to operate solely from what neuroscience calls the default mode network, the part of the brain that constructs your identity, replays memory, projects into the future, narrates your internal story. That network is essential. It gives continuity. It gives identity. It helps you plan. But it is one layer of a deeper architecture. Beneath conscious thought, beneath personal narrative, your nervous system is constantly processing information your conscious mind barely has access to. Information that doesn't arrive as words. It arrives as sensation, as knowing, as a felt sense of direction with no logical explanation. Most people were trained, slowly, subtly, through years of social conditioning, to dismiss this layer, to treat it as noise, to override it with logic, with external opinions, with the loudest voice in the room. And every time you do that, you weaken the connection between conscious awareness and the deeper field you're embedded in. Over time, that disconnection compounds. The result is exactly what you've been feeling. That persistent sense that something is missing, that you're working hard, but never arriving. You are not broken. You are disconnected. And those are completely different problems with completely different solutions. Broken implies something is wrong with you. Disconnected implies something has been blocked, and anything blocked can be unblocked. But to do that, you need to understand how perception actually works. Because most people believe they perceive reality as it is. They think their eyes see what's there. Their mind interprets the truth. And the world they experience is an accurate representation of objective reality. That is not how your brain works. Your brain does not show you reality. It constructs a model of reality based on limited inputs. Your eyes detect a narrow band of the electromagnetic spectrum. Your ears pick up a tiny slice of vibration. Your nervous system discards most information in your environment and keeps only what it has been trained, through habit and conditioning, to consider relevant. That filtering is necessary. Without it, you'd be overwhelmed. But here's the critical insight. The filters are not fixed. They change based on your state, based on your emotional baseline, based on your beliefs about what's possible, and most importantly, based on the quality of your attention. This means reality itself isn't changing. What's changing is what you're able to register of it. Two people can stand in the same room at the same moment and have completely different experiences, not because the room is different, but because their perceptual filters are tuned differently. This is why some people seem to move through life with an effortless fluidity, while others working just as hard encounter resistance everywhere. It isn't favoritism. It isn't luck. It's calibration. And calibration can be trained. Now let's bring it down to biology, because this is where it stops being theory and starts being practical. There is a phenomenon called coherence, and it happens in your heart. Your heart is not just a pump. It is a sophisticated information processing organ. It generates an electromagnetic field far stronger than the brain's. It communicates directly with your nervous system and endocrine system, and it shapes your internal state in ways most people never learn to control. When your heart enters a state of coherence, meaning its rhythm becomes ordered, harmonically structured, your entire system changes. Brainwave patterns shift, hormonal balance changes, inflammation markers drop, immune function improves. But the effects don't stop at the body. Research over the past decade suggests that coherent states correlate with measurable effects on probability in controlled settings. Whether you interpret that in purely physical terms or as a sign of deeper interaction, the implication is the same. Your state is not private. It is a signal. Your heart is acting like a transmitter. And the quality of that signal affects the quality of the reality that organizes around you. This is why forcing outcomes starts to feel increasingly futile as you become more aware. Forcing creates incoherence. It's biological static, a chaotic signal the field cannot organize around cleanly. Coherence, on the other hand, creates clarity, a stable signal, a clean broadcast, a state reality can respond to with precision. And here's the liberating part. You don't need to do more to create coherence. You need to do less. You need to stop overriding your natural state with anxiety, urgency, and the constant low-level frequency of not enough. Beneath the noise, your system is already capable of coherence. It has been capable since birth. The work is not to build something new. The work is to clear what's in the way. So why doesn't life feel like flow? Why does it feel like struggle? Why does that gap between where you are and where you sense you could be feel so wide? Because of what I'll call 3 layers of forgetting. These aren't mystical. They're psychological and physiological patterns that mute your connection to the deeper field. First is sensory overwhelm. From the moment you were born, you were bombarded with stimulation, sound, light, language, expectations, media, opinions. An unceasing torrent of input that keeps your nervous system in perpetual processing. When your system is constantly processing external input, it loses sensitivity to internal signals. The deeper signal doesn't disappear. It gets drowned out. Second is emotional residue. Every unprocessed fear, grief, shame, suppressed joy leaves a trace in the nervous system. Over time, these traces accumulate into a chronic emotional climate that colors perception, decision-making, relationships. That climate becomes its own signal. Often tension, vigilance, longing. As it competes with coherence, third is identity crystallization. At some point you formed a belief about who you are, not consciously, through repetition, comparison, stories. That belief became the lens you interpret everything through. It feels like truth, but it's a filter. And that filter determines what you notice, what you receive, what you even allow yourself to believe is possible. These 3 layers work together. Overwhelm drowns out the signal. Residue distorts the signal. Identity limits what you're willing to do with the signal when it breaks through. Now here's the shift. You don't fix this by believing harder. You fix this by practicing presence in a way that retrains perception. Not positive thinking, not hype, not forcing, training. So we'll call this quantum presence, and it's not something you do like a performance, it's something you allow. Find a position where your body feels supported. Sitting is ideal. Spine upright, but not rigid. Let your eyes close if that's comfortable. If not, soften your gaze. For the first 30 seconds, do nothing except notice your breath. Not a special breath. Not a technique. Just the breath already happening. Feel the small expansion as air enters. The gentle release as it leaves. Don't change it. Witness it. This is already doing more than you realize. Witnessing shifts your nervous system out of automatic processing mode. It begins pulling you out of surface reality and back into signal. After 30 seconds, bring attention to your heart area, not with effort, with curiosity. You may feel warmth, pressure, subtle rhythm, or nothing you can name. All fine. Now, bring to mind something small that you genuinely appreciate. Not a grand life event. Something simple and real. The feeling of air. The fact your body breathes without permission. A small moment of warmth from the past week. Hold it gently. You're not visualizing. You're creating conditions for coherence. Stay here for 2 minutes. Your mind will wander. That's normal. Don't fight it. Notice and return. Breath. Heart area. Quiet appreciation. Then let the appreciation dissolve and remain in the open attention that supported it. This is the space where the deeper field becomes accessible. Not because you became special, but because you stopped doing what blocks it. In that space, you may notice subtle expansion, spaciousness, a quiet clarity, a knowing without words. If it happens, don't grasp it. If it doesn't, don't judge it. Coherence doesn't always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it settles like clear water after the sediment drops. Do this tonight before sleep. 5 minutes is enough. 10 is generous. Duration isn't the variable. Presence is. And I want to be responsible here. This isn't a magic switch. It's a recalibration. When applied consistently over days, people report a subtle shift in reactivity. A tiny fraction of a second between stimulus and response. That fraction is everything. It's where choice becomes possible. Over a week or two, perceptual sensitivity increases. You notice patterns you walked past your entire life. Conversations feel different because you're listening differently. Over a month, it becomes structural. Sleep improves. Low-grade anxiety decreases. Decisions become quieter and more accurate. And yes, synchronicity increases. Not because the universe suddenly noticed you, but because your perceptual filters widened enough to register alignments that were always there. This is not magic. It's physics meeting biology. The key word is consistency. One practice once creates a brief window that fades. Repetition compounds. Your nervous system learns a new baseline. The coherent state becomes accessible outside formal practice. That's the goal. Not another ritual. A different default. So, here's the real question I want you to sit with, because it does more than any motivational statement ever could. If awareness shapes the reality you inhabit, and coherence is a signal the field responds to, then the most important question is not what you need to achieve. It's what you need to stop doing. What needs to be removed? What noise needs to be reduced? What emotional residue needs to be processed? What identity story needs to loosen so you can actually receive what you've been sensing your entire life? Because most of your ambition is built on the assumption that you are not enough as you are, that something must be acquired or proven before life can align. But coherence doesn't reward effort. It responds to alignment. And alignment is what emerges when you remove what blocks it. You're not behind. You're not failing. You're not missing some secret technique everyone else found. You're carrying static while trying to transmit a clean signal. Before we close, One more layer. Quantum physics can describe what happens at the edge of matter. It can show you observation influences outcome, superposition, entanglement. But physics stops at description. It tells you what happens, not why awareness exists at all, not why the universe permits experience, not why the felt quality of being alive exists. Those edges aren't flaws in science. They are the boundaries of what science is designed to measure. Beyond those edges is what you've been sensing in quiet moments your whole life. Not something you can hold as a concept, something you experience directly. That's why practice matters more than theory. 5 minutes of real presence will teach you more than an hour of intellectual understanding. Because the field isn't something you study from the outside. You are inside it. Always have been. So tonight, do the practice. 5 minutes. No performance. No expectations. Just stillness. And tomorrow notice, not with intensity, with curiosity, what feels slightly different. What feels slightly easier. What thought that used to feel solid now feels slightly optional. And I'll leave you with one question to carry like a seed. Not to answer out loud, not even to solve in your mind, just to hold. What would your life feel like? Not contain. Feel like if you were operating from coherence instead of conditioning? Hold that. I wish you all the best. And until next time.